You're lying in bed on a Sunday morning. The sheets are warm. The light filtering through your curtains is soft, amber, perfect. Your phone buzzes with notifications you don't need to answer. There's coffee downstairs, a show queued up, nothing demanding your attention. This is what you've worked for, isn't it? This peace, this absence of struggle. And yet, there's something hollow in your chest. A quiet voice you've learned to ignore. It whispers that you're disappearing. We've been sold a beautiful lie. That the good life is the comfortable life. That every rough edge should be sanded down. Every discomfort medicated. Every challenge avoided. We build our existence around the elimination of pain, the pursuit of ease, the religion of relaxation. We curate our days to minimize friction. We swipe away inconvenience. We numb what hurts. But what if comfort isn't the sanctuary we think it is? What if it's a kind of quicksand, so gentle in its grip that you don't realize you're sinking until you can't remember what solid ground felt like? Consider this. Every meaningful thing you've ever done probably hurt. The relationship that changed you required vulnerability that terrified you. The skill you're proud of demanded hours of clumsy failure. The version of yourself you respect most was forged in circumstances you'd never choose to repeat. Pain, it seems, has been the price of admission to everything that matters. And yet we run from it. We architect entire lives around its avoidance. Why? Because comfort is seductive in a way pain never could be. Pain announces itself. It demands acknowledgement. But comfort is the snake that doesn't hiss. It wraps around you so slowly, so pleasantly, that you mistake suffocation for embrace. Promises safety and delivers stagnation. It offers peace and provides numbness. You feel it, don't you? That strange paradox where the absence of struggle doesn't feel like victory. It feels like erasure. Where the days blur together not because you're happy, but because nothing is sharp enough to leave a mark. Where you're not living so much as you're postponing death in the most pleasant environment possible. Here's the question that should unsettle you. What if the life you're protecting yourself from is the only one worth living? What if every comfort you've acquired, every safe choice you've made, every risk you've avoided has been slowly building a prison so beautiful you don't realize you're trapped? The ancient philosophers knew something we've forgotten. Nietzsche didn't say, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," as a motivational platitude. He was describing a fundamental truth about human existence. We are defined not by what we avoid, but by what we endure. We are shaped not in moments of ease, but in the crucible of challenge. So why does modern life feel like an elaborate conspiracy to keep you comfortable, distracted, and ultimately diminished? The answer is more disturbing than you think. The architects of your comfort aren't villains. They're you. Every choice you've made to avoid discomfort has been rational, even compassionate. You deserve rest. You've earned ease. The problem is that your nervous system can't distinguish between rest and retreat, between recovery and resignation. Carl Jung observed that neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. Read that again. Your anxiety, your depression, your sense of meaninglessness, these aren't random afflictions. They're what happens when you refuse the pain that would transform you. Your psyche knows you're avoiding something essential, and it punishes you with symptoms that are often worse than the challenge you're fleeing. This is the cruel irony. Comfort doesn't eliminate suffering. It just exchanges sharp, purposeful pain for the dull, chronic ache of a life unlived. Schopenhauer understood this paradox at a molecular level. He recognized that human beings oscillate between two states, wanting and boredom. When we lack what we desire, we suffer. But the moment we obtain it, the moment we achieve comfort, we don't find satisfaction. We find emptiness. The wanting gave us direction. The discomfort gave us purpose. Strip those away, and what remains? A restless void that no amount of Netflix, scrolling, or weekend getaways can fill. our culture has weaponized this vulnerability. We're sold comfort as the solution to suffering, not realizing that we're trading one form of pain for another. The first kind, the pain of growth, of challenge, of becoming, has an endpoint, transforms you. The second kind, the pain of stagnation, of unrealized potential, of slow disappearance, has no resolution. It just accumulates, day by comfortable day, until you wake up at 40 or 50 or 60 and realize you can't remember the last time you felt genuinely alive. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz by discovering that meaning, not comfort, is what makes life bearable. In the camps, those who collapsed weren't always the physically weakest. They were the ones who lost their why, their reason to endure. Meanwhile, those who survived often had nothing external to comfort them. Yet they found something that comfort can never provide. Purpose forged in the fire of necessity. Here's what your biology knows that your conscious mind resists. You were built for challenge. Your dopamine system doesn't reward comfort, it rewards progress. Your sense of accomplishment doesn't come from ease, it comes from overcoming. Your deepest satisfaction isn't found in the absence of struggle. It's found in struggles worth having. But we've created a world that profits from your passivity. Every app, every subscription, every convenience is designed to make life easier, smoother, more frictionless. And with every friction we remove another opportunity to feel capable, strong, necessary. The hidden problem isn't that comfort exists. It's that we've mistaken it for the goal rather than recognizing it as a temporary state between challenges. We've forgotten that comfort is supposed to be the pause that prepares you for the next battle, not the battle itself. And the consequences of this forgetting? They're already destroying you in ways you can't yet see. Look at your hands. Really look at them. How long has it been since they built something, fixed something, created something that required them to blister and callous? How long since your body was genuinely tested? Since your mind was forced to solve a problem that couldn't be Googled? Since you felt the specific exhaustion that comes only from pushing past what you thought possible? The atrophy is already happening. Not just physically, though that's real enough, but in every dimension of your being. Your tolerance for discomfort shrinks with each avoided challenge. Your capacity for delayed gratification withers with each instant reward. Your sense of agency diminishes every time you choose the path of least resistance. Neuroscience reveals the mechanism. Your brain is ruthlessly efficient. Neural pathways you don't use get pruned away. The circuitry for persistence, for grit, for sitting with discomfort, these aren't permanent features of your mind. They're use it or lose it systems. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're literally reshaping your brain to be less capable of handling difficulty. You're not preserving yourself. You're diminishing yourself. This is why small inconveniences feel catastrophic. Why a delayed text message triggers anxiety. Why minor setbacks feel like existential crises. Your nervous system has been so carefully protected from stress that it's lost the ability to calibrate. Everything feels like a threat because nothing has taught you what real threat actually is. The psychological term is fragility, but that's too gentle. What's happening is a kind of progressive disability. You're becoming functionally unable to handle the very experiences that make life meaningful. Conflict that leads to intimacy, failure that precedes mastery, uncertainty that breeds adaptability, pain that produces strength, and it cascades. Your relationships suffer because real connection requires vulnerability, which is uncomfortable. Your career stagnates because growth demands you risk looking incompetent. Your creativity dies because creation requires you to produce garbage before you produce gold. Everything worthwhile lives on the other side of discomfort you're no longer willing to traverse. But here's the most insidious consequence. You stop trusting yourself, because some part of you knows. Some part of you recognizes that you're capable of more than this, that you're designed for challenges you're not taking, that the comfort you've wrapped yourself in is simultaneously your sanctuary and your cage. And this knowledge creates a background hum of self-contempt that no amount of self-care can silence. You see it in the mirror, not in how you look, but in how you look at yourself. There's a resignation there, a sadness that has nothing to do with your circumstances and everything to do with your choices. You're mourning yourself while you're still alive, mourning the person you could have been if you'd been willing to hurt for it. The culture calls this burnout, depression, quarter-life crisis, midlife crisis, as if it's a phase. But it's not a phase. It's a natural consequence of a life structure that prioritizes comfort over meaning, ease over growth, protection over transformation. You're not broken. You're unchallenged. And an unchallenged human is a dying human, even if all the vital signs look fine. The question is no longer whether this is true. You already know it is. The question is, what are you going to do about it? The answer isn't to become a masochist. This isn't about seeking pain for pain's sake or romanticizing suffering. The rebellion is subtler and more radical than that. It's about voluntarily choosing the hard thing before life forces it on you. Because here's what you need to understand. Pain is coming either way. The only choice you have is whether it's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of growth or the pain of stagnation. The pain you choose or the pain that chooses you. Start small, but start with intention. Choose one thing each day that requires you to override your comfort-seeking instinct. Not because it will change your life immediately, it won't, but because you're rebuilding the neural architecture of resilience. You're teaching your nervous system that discomfort isn't death. You're remembering what it feels like to be capable. Cold showers. The cliché is real because the mechanism is real. 30 seconds of cold water teaches your body that you can override the screaming impulse to flee discomfort. It's not about the cold. It's about practicing sovereignty over your own nervous system. It's about proving to yourself, first thing in the morning, that you can choose the harder path. But go deeper. Find the conversation you've been avoiding, the one that might hurt, might create conflict, might reveal something you're afraid to know. Have it. Not recklessly, but courageously. Because authentic relationships are built in moments of productive discomfort, not in the carefully managed theater of politeness. Seek out the project that terrifies you. The one where failure is probable and public and painful. Do it anyway, because competence is built on a foundation of incompetence, and you can't get to mastery without trudging through the humiliating middle stages where you're worse than you want to be and not yet as good as you need to be. The Stoics had a practice called voluntary discomfort, deliberately choosing hardship to inoculate themselves against fear. Seneca would sleep on the floor. Marcus Aurelius would walk in the cold. Not because they were ascetics, but because they understood that the only way to be prepared for inevitable suffering was to practice suffering when you didn't have to. This is your training ground. Every uncomfortable choice is a rehearsal for the involuntary pain that life will eventually deliver. And when that pain comes, and it will come, you won't shatter because you've already proven to yourself that you can bend without breaking. But here's the shift that matters most. Stop viewing comfort as the reward for living and start viewing growth as the point of being alive. You're not here to be safe. You're here to become. Not the polished, curated version of yourself that you present to Instagram, but the raw, tested, tempered version that emerges only through trials you didn't think you could survive. The rebellion isn't against comfort itself. It's against the belief that comfort is where life happens. Life happens at the edge of your capacity. Meaning is forged in the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. And that gap is supposed to hurt. Here's what nobody tells you. The comfort you're seeking doesn't exist. It never did. It's a mirage that recedes with every step you take toward it. You think you're working towards some future state where everything will be easy, where you'll have finally arrived, where the struggle will be over and you can rest. But that destination is a lie your mind tells itself to make the present bearable. There is no finish line where comfort becomes permanent. There's only the eternal choice between expansion and contraction, between growth and decay. The ultimate truth is this: you are most alive when you are most uncomfortable. Not suffering needlessly, but engaged with reality at the level where transformation happens. The moments you remember years later aren't the comfortable ones. They're the ones where you were tested and didn't break, where you were afraid and acted anyway, where you hurt and discovered you could bear it. This is the paradigm shift that changes everything. Pain isn't the obstacle to a meaningful life. Pain is the mechanism. It's not what you overcome to finally live. It's how you know you're living fully. Every great story, every myth, every narrative that moves us centers on someone who suffered for something. Not because we're sadistic, but because we recognize truth when we see it. We know, at a level deeper than thought, that the hero's journey isn't metaphorical. It's the actual structure of human transformation. And transformation always requires descent before ascension, that you've been trying to edit yourself into a comfortable existence, when what you really want is an existence worth the discomfort. You've been trying to eliminate the struggle, when the struggle is the only thing that makes the victory meaningful. You've been trying to protect yourself from pain, when pain is the sculptor that's trying to reveal who you actually are. The people you admire most, whether you know them personally or recognize them from history, aren't comfortable people. They're people who found something worth suffering for and suffered for it beautifully. They didn't transcend pain. They transformed it into purpose. So here's your choice: laid bare. You can continue seeking the comfort that will never satisfy you, building a life so safe that nothing in it feels worth protecting. Or you can turn toward the discomfort you've been fleeing and discover that it's been waiting to show you who you're capable of becoming. The path forward isn't easier. It's harder. Deliberately, consistently harder. But it's also the only path that leads anywhere you'd actually want to go. Stop asking how to make life more comfortable. Start asking what you're willing to hurt for. What challenge would make you feel alive to pursue? What pain would be worth enduring because on the other side of it is a version of yourself you'd actually respect? The comfortable life is the unlived life. The painful life. The one you choose deliberately. The one you walk into with eyes open. That's where you'll find what you've been searching for all along. Not happiness. Something better: meaning. And meaning, it turns out, is the only comfort that actually lasts.